Discrimination is behavior that disadvantages one group in relation to another group and maintains and perpetuates conditions of inequality. One of the most prominent instances of discrimination occurs in the workplace. The U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission released detailed breakdowns of the 89,000 charges of workplace discrimination that the agency received in fiscal year 2015. Despite the laws that are put in place to prevent discrimination at work, people are still subjected to unfair treatment and prejudices. We as a society have come to socially accept discrimination at work. The fact that discrimination in the workplace continues to occur shows that people in society still possess prejudiced thoughts, and people are still subjected to the effects of these prejudiced thoughts and actions. There are multiple types of discrimination that can occur at work, including discrimination due to gender, discrimination due to sex, and discrimination based on disabilities. One major issue in the workplace is older and younger people being treated unfairly, prevented job opportunities, and forced out of their jobs because of their age. Even though age discrimination, or ageism, in employment is illegal, 2/3 of older people looking for jobs report being subjected to it. One of the major laws that prevents employers from discriminating against employees on the basis of age is Age Discrimination in Employment Act. Specifically, this law prevents employers from discriminating against workers that are 40 years old or older. Another federal law prohibiting age discrimination in employment is the Older Workers Benefit Protection Act, which makes it illegal for employers to use an employee's age as a basis of discrimination in benefits and retirement. Equal employment opportunity laws also prohibit specific types of job discrimination in workplaces. Despite these laws that are meant to abolish age discrimination in the workplace, the number of age discrimination claims has been rising since 1997. In 2013, 21,000 claims were recorded. For example, a 64-year-old woman named Jane had worked as a bartender at a bar for more than a decade. The bar was then sold. The new owners of the bar told Jane that she was too old to be a bartender, disparaging her age and gender in front of other employees and customers. Before the sale was finalized, Jane was fired and the business hired significantly younger employees. A lawsuit was filed for age and gender discrimination. This is just one example of real-life workplace discrimination based on not only age but gender as well. Gender discrimination is another form of discrimination that occurs in businesses. Even though there are laws that protect individuals from this discrimination, differences do still exist on the job. Gender discrimination can take many forms. One form of gender discrimination can be found in differences in the salaries men and women earn. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, the median income for women in 2009 for full employment was $36,000, while men during the same period earned a median annual salary of $47,000. The Equal Pay Act of 1963 is a federal law which prohibits pay discrimination on the basis of gender. The EPA is an amendment to the Fair Labor Standards Act and was enacted to rectify the pay inequality that exists between men and women who perform the same job duties. Just like age discrimination laws, the gender discrimination laws, specifically based on pay, do not prevent instances of age discrimination from occurring. Another form of gender discrimination is sexual harassment. I will now show you a video that explains sexual harassment further.
The workplace. Harassment is defined as any vexatious behavior that threatens, demeans, humiliates, intimidates, or embarrasses a person or group that a reasonable person should have known to be unwelcome. Harassment includes actions, comments, or displays. Actions can include physical gestures. Comments can include derogatory statements, gossip or innuendo, or name-calling. And displays can include letters, emails, text messages, social media, or photography. While harassment normally involves conduct that may include more than one incident, A single act of a serious nature may also constitute harassment.
Sexual harassment is a form of sex discrimination that violates Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Title VII is a federal law that prohibits discrimination in employment on the basis of sex, race, color, national origin, and religion. Barber-Trees writes of a personal experience with sexual harassment in the workplace in her essay, Like a Smack in the Face, Pornography in the Trades. The story describes harsh conditions the author Trees had to deal with while working in construction, which is a male-dominated job. She states that there were maybe 10 women total working in her job and 20,000 men. I had listened to filthy, woman-hating jokes, had co-workers accidentally touch my breast or ass, and put up with the idea of women as funny. The mere mention of breasts or anything about women's bodies bringing smirks. Trees says. According to Trees, pornography is common on construction jobs. She had many encounters with it and found it humiliating. This essay is one example of how discrimination in the workplace through sexual harassment still exists despite laws that are meant to prevent it. In addition to age discrimination, sexual discrimination, disability discrimination is another form of discrimination that has been reported in the workplace. According to a study performed by the Kelser Foundation and the National Organization on Disabilities, 59% of 1,800 working age study participants with no obvious disabilities who were looking for a full-time or part-time job compared to only 20% of similarly situated disability workers. The Americans with Disabilities Act and the Rehabilitation Act were meant to protect those employees who suffer from a disability from being discriminated against. However, it has been proved that these laws put in place do not sufficiently do their jobs. For example, a story was released on January 21, 2015 about a disability discrimination lawsuit charged on Kmart. According to the lawsuit, after a man named Lorenzo Cook was denied a job at applied for a job at Kmart, Cook informed the manager that he could not take part in a urine test for the company's mandatory pre-employment drug screening due to his kidney disease and dialysis. Cook requested a reasonable accommodation such as a blood test, hair test, or other drug tests that did not require a urine sample that would provide the same information that a urine test would. Kmart refused to provide this alternative test and denied Cook employment because of his disability, according to the suit. This filed lawsuit is an example of how the Americans with Disabilities Act and the Rehabilitation Act do not do their intended job, which is to protect workers from potential disability discrimination. Discrimination in the workplace comes in multiple different forms, such as discrimination based on age, gender, and disabilities. Laws have been created in the past in order to prevent any unfair treatment at work. However, evidences exist that discrimination still occurs in the workplace and has even increased in recent years. Since the accounts of discrimination of any kind continue to occur, the laws already put in place need to be stricter and employers need to be held more accountable for their actions. Any questions?
Why did you pick this topic?
I picked this topic because I feel as though discrimination is a huge problem in society. One of the forms of discrimination that I am particularly interested in is discrimination based on gender, specifically sexual harassment. Being a girl, I feel as though no woman should have to deal with sexual harassment in any setting, including work. I find the conditions and mistreatment some women have to experience at work is ridiculous and extremely unfair. This is why I wanted to research this topic to further educate myself in sexual harassment.
Have you ever seen the act of discrimination in the workplace?
I have seen discrimination in the workplace. Over the summer, I shadowed an orthopedic physician assistant that deals with people who have been injured on the job and are working towards getting back to work. However, most of these patients are having trouble finding a job that will hire them because of their disabilities.